All right, hello everyone. How's it going? We're doing pretty good on Tarzan. I got through the second panel. Here's what it looks like with the pencil layers off. There we go. A little bit cleaner. It's not perfect, but it's perfect. I got to get busy on third panel in this fight sequence here. I've got to fix my dialogue bubbles. You need dialogue at a fight, of course, right? That's my feeling. Um, and speaking of dialogue in a fight, I want to show you a cool trick I've noticed in Akira Toriyama's comics. If you don't know who Akira Toriyama is, he's the manga guy who created Dragon Ball Z and a lot of the look of Final Fantasy and a lot of the um, kind of the computer-based Nintendo Square Enix, you know, computer games of the 80s, like I said, Final Fantasy and stuff like that. But look at his wiki page sometime. It's pretty cool. Let me share my screen with you so I can show you this cool thing. So I made like a bunch of snips, but I want to show you these panels, which I think are really interesting. This is a cool trick that Toriyama does. Take a look at this one with the monkey and the skateboard. Um, do you suppose the story is about monkeys or skateboards? It's actually not at all. Um, this is a panel from unfortunately I didn't snip the whole page, but this is from something called Wonder Island, and it all does is it's an establishing time shot. It just shows you what time of day it is, and it shows you a kind of funny image, and then it moves into the comic, right? So it just goes right off of that. And this is a similar one with the frog, and I'll show you how the frog was used right here on the next page. So let me zoom it down a little bit. And there's our frog down at the bottom right, if you can see him down here. So we've got all this action going on. Whoops. We've got all this action going on, and then we just have this frog here. What's the frog there for? Well, the frog's to show you that time has passed, and we're on a different day, or at least time has passed, right? And you can see what time of day it is through here. Here's something similar with this shot of the traffic signal and the tree. This is how it's being used in, I think this is Tomato, the cutesy gumshoe, I think, is one of his rejected mangas. And you can see it's right here in the middle. She's supposedly, this is a goofy comic about she's a female cop, but she's like an innocent. She's very funny. So this palm tree here and the thing just show you what time of day it is. It just shows you the transition of one scene to the next scene. Okay, here's another similar one. I didn't even bother isolating the panel. Look at this. We have action going on here. We have action going on here, and then we just show a scene from space. It just shows you that there's something else going on, right? Here's another similar one. And this is where it kind of got obvious because we're moving into Dr. Slump. This is leaving his rejected manga. This is the one that was one of the first of his to make it big, which is Dr. Slump, which I highly recommend. It's very funny. It's very cute. Um, and he often will use a panel like this one. You can see here he's got this character. I think this is a character he calls Ultraman, although it's not really Ultraman. It's like this sort of bug-eyed character, and he says, Fall's finally here. This character only appears in this type of panel, and he only talks about the season or the day or the time. And here he is. Actually, it's not even him. Here's another character doing the same thing in another comic of his. We have this mysterious character over here saying, "Oh, it's dawn," and he's raising up the sun. So maybe this is probably a character from maybe Japanese mythology. There's the palm tree, and then we have this cute cow character. The cow is not part of the story. He's saying it's mooning like he's mooing. Once again, it's just for time. It's just establishing the time. And here's the same one, same palm tree. There's the house. Nothing. There's nothing else in there. And it's not part of the action. It's not really part of the story. It just sets off. Oh, by the way, these all read right to left. So that's why I'm going to the right. This is a time establishing shot. So, pretty cool trick. I would try it out in your comics. All right, so let's get back into drawing Tarzan now. Um, so here's my first two panels. I mean, once again, I'll show it to you with the pencil layer off, at a little bit larger so you can see what it looks like. Did some hatching around the edges here and some things to kind of establish the shadow layer. I'm probably going to talk to Jake about this one. I don't want to color the background on this. This is not truly a bleed panel. It's an open panel. I just want the figures colored. But he might have other ideas, so we'll see what he comes up with. All right. I better have Gasinki. Yes, I do. So anyhow, I've been thinking about that one. There's a couple other tricks I've been noticing in Toriyama that I'd like to try. When I was doing Brillig, I was reading Dragon Ball, and it was like several volumes of Dragon Ball. I think I read 1,000 pages of Dragon Ball. And I knew that Toriyama manga theater book existed because I had heard other people talking about it, but I didn't realize what it really represented. I knew he had other comics that were, not hits, but it's actually kind of cool. It's 500 pages. Well, I don't know if it's 500 pages. He says in there somewhere it's about 500 pages of rejected stories, or stories that were, we might even say, just mostly rejected. Like they won one shot status, so they got to be on there on the in the Shonen Jump comic like one time, and one of them he got to do like a 45-page comic. So that's the other thing that's kind of interesting about manga is it's not like Western comics in that they don't have single issues. But one of the Western misconceptions is, oh, that's what mangaka do is they just create a big tankobon. It's just they just do 200 pages at a time. It's not actually like that. They do about 15 pages, or maybe 32 pages at a time, depending on the book. And I think there's even different standards. I think he even mentions in his thing the reason he wanted to do the gag manga first is because the standards were a lot easier. You didn't have to do 32 pages; you could just do 15. And it gets submitted for publication in a magazine along an anthology magazine along with bunches of other stuff. It's one of the reasons um, I don't really agree with people who say, "Well, there's nothing in, there's no future in anthologies." Anthologies are like how most of comics outside of the Western world kind of operate. Um, and then once it's complete or becoming complete, then you do a collected works, and that's the tankobon. And it could be multiple stories. It could be multiple chapters in a single story. It could be all kinds of different ways to do it. Um, During the big lockdown, I was a subscriber to a comic magazine called The Phoenix, it's mostly like kids comics, but it had the Etherington brothers in it at one point. So I was interested in it. But it also had, it had superhero comics and it had funny comics. It had a pretty wide variety. It had puzzles, some of which were pretty hard. Um, but then, the tenor was basically, it was pretty juvenile, but it was worth looking at just to kind of figure out how they were doing it. And I'm a huge fan of the Etherington brothers. Like Von Dugan was in there and stuff like that. I know my faces here are challenged. I've started doing the draw 100 heads challenge, but it's at work. So on Friday, I'll bring my sketchbook home because I'm gonna. You're supposed to draw 10 heads a day for 10 days straight to get to 100 within 10 days. So there's, like I said, there's a time challenge part of it. But I just realized that, you know, I'll miss those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, if I don't get it done. So I decided, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll just bring it home on Friday, and I'll do it over the weekend and let people see what it looks like. It is a pretty worthwhile challenge in that you can really see the difference between my first 10 and my third 10. I did um, 21 through 30 today. There we go. It's got to look obviously like a mask. All right. That's a little bit too zippy of a line there. I'm doing lots of stuff in my sketchbook. Well, I say lots of stuff. How much did I do last night? I did one, two, three, four, five pages, and started a 6 page. So I'll probably have a sketchbook done, another sketchbook done pretty soon as well. I'm watching a lot of other people's sketchbook videos. And I gotta say, there's definitely some talented people out there. Um, I noticed there is a stylistic similarity in a lot of their art, which I'm not as big a fan of. I call it the precious moments of Instagram look. And man, there's a lot of it. I don't know. It's one of those things. I mean, I guess that's just kind of where it's at. It's neither here nor there. In the 70s and the 80s, it was not uncommon for everyone to look similar to Western comic book art because that's what was popular at the time. Um, Western comic books are heavily out of favor at this point, even though the movies have never been bigger. Well, they've been bigger, but I think they really missed an opportunity to capitalize on that. I wonder if anyone's mad about that in the cutthroat corporate world of movies that you know the movies came out and they never really capitalized on it in the comics. Instead, they did the exact opposite. They made the comics like less interesting and less connected to the movies in any way. I think I got to put another arm here. It's not there. That's not where his back would be. Maybe his back is back here. What if I actually, you know what I could do? I could leave this arm back here in shadow. and then put a hand out here on the other side. And that gives you kind of a sense of where this character is in space as he's getting knocked backwards. Normally I'm against breaking the panel borders. Another one I'd like to show you is when and where Toriyama breaks panel borders, because he does it, but he's very specific about it, and he does an interesting thing with drawing a big character outside the panel borders, usually when he's introducing something new or a new costume, like a new outfit, costume, or could be like a gag, like a character dressed up like something surprising will sometimes appear outside the borders in the exact place where that time thing is. It's maybe that's a special, the very first panel when he does it, that's where it usually ends up. Not always, but usually. We're just kind of freehanding a hand here. Freehanding. All right, knowing that we only have black and white as colors, I'm going to make sure a couple of things are true. One thing, make sure it's not confusing, which I'm not sure I've done yet. And the second thing, and I'm somewhat questioning my instincts here, but I'm probably going to go with it, is I was going to have like a big spray of blood as Tarzan just slashes him, and this guy's going to be on the ground just suffering. What has to happen after this particular battle is it has to be just the sorceress and Tarzan. And for the moment, you'll notice um, both Amani and Nala are not in the scene. You can see them here. You can see her. And you can see Amani, which is there she is there. Um, what we're going to notice in the next page, I hope, if I can pull this off, is Nala rescuing Amani, and then Tarzan fighting the sorceress, who's going to use magic, of course, because she's a sorceress. All right. Anyway, I should point out when I'm roasting the precious moments of Instagram art style, and the reality is it's really good. Like a lot of these people are just really good. You got to step up your game, and I got to step up my game. So I'm committed to improving. But I'm gonna have to continue with my own style, of course. I mean that's all anybody can really do. And I'm hoping one trick that I can do that might set me apart from the others is I can bring it a kind of action that a lot of people aren't really doing right now. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, it's going to do like a It's gonna be like an arterial spray, just with the blade. We'll have to get to that later. I know I made the head just a little bit too big. Who am I trying to fool with just a little? It's pretty big. We're giving Tarzan some slim fast here. He's getting slim. All right. Let's block in that loincloth so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay. We've got the beginning of something. Now, where's that other arm go? We've got one arm up front, the other arm back. I'm wondering where's the arm end, right? If this is the shoulder, and he's kind of like this shoulder's forward, that shoulder's back, so we can push it even further back if we need to. And we can even do kind of a extreme position on the wrist here. So that would put the thumb, if we have the back of his hand down. Half of this video series with Tarzan is figuring out which side of the hand his thumb is on. Are we looking at the back of the hand or the? We could even do that, but it doesn't look as good. We could even do that. Looks pretty good actually. It's a little bit too windmilly. The problem with this is it starts to tangent up with his loincloth here on this side. All right. I almost want to show movement. This is another trick to show movement. His hair is going back in this scene. Let's throw his hair forward in this scene. So we've got momentum. The same reason we got this arm is back in this scene. This arm goes forward in this scene. So we got to give him as a fierce jungle look. It's a start. It's a start. We'll figure it out. May take us a couple of days to get all this stuff worked out. Now, luckily, his hair is just pure black. Where Yep. Something like that. Take the pencil out. Okay, I've obviously got some problems, but we have a good start. And we'll start to fix each error as we see it and try and get a nice smooth line. You know, and say what you want about Liefeld. I learned how to do that clenched teeth look from Liefeld. All right. I think that's it for right now. Please like, follow, subscribe, and stay tuned. There'll be more comics every day. I got to start drawing the next page. And obviously I got lots to finish on this page. It may take me a couple days. There's a whole figure back there. There's going to be a background. So there will be more Tarzan coming soon.